How's it going, Star Seekers? My name's Luke and welcome back to the channel for another 30 minutes to buy review. Then today we're going to be taking a look at Rise of the Slime, which is a kind of roguelike deck builder game where you play as this blue slime creature and have to make your way through dungeons, defeating enemies, collecting cards and earning gold to upgrade your character, your cards and pets that you gain along the way. Now, Rise of the Slime is currently available for £12.99 on the UK eShop and $14.99 on the US eShop, and I quite enjoy roguelikes and deck builders, so I thought I'd give it a go and tell you my thoughts on it. Now, when you first start a new game in Rise of the Slime, you have to go through a short tutorial section, and this introduces you to the game's basic mechanics, including your starter deck, how the cards within it play into the game's combat system and a few other things, but in all honesty the tutorial doesn't really go into that much depth with things, and you're just going to have to learn more advanced mechanics as you go along. When it comes to the game's storyline, you get a bit of short intro text which basically says you're the chosen one who needs to clear this castle of monsters, but other than that I didn't really experience any storyline progression throughout my time playing, and the game primarily seems to be focused around the gameplay loop. Now, the tutorial is designed to end when you come up against these three baddies who are way too hard to beat, and you do just end up dying at the end of it. Following this scripted death, you then take into the hub area, and here is where you prepare yourself for a new run, and there's a number of different things available to you. Heading over to the left, you'll find the familiars area, and these are kind of like pets that you can take into the game with you, and you have things like this acid blob pet who fires acid at the closest enemies each turn, the fireball pet who fires fireballs, and the defense bot pet who adds some defense to you after each turn. By default, you're only able to have one pet at a time, but you are able to upgrade the maximum number of pets by spending gold earned from killing enemies. Now, the upgrade shrine that you do this at is found in the hub area, and here you can also upgrade your maximum health and mana prior to starting a run, but one thing I found was a little strange is that these don't persist through death, so each time you die these are reset and you have to buy them again. There are actually upgrade shrines found within dungeons, but there are also shops which sell you new cards or allow you to upgrade your existing cards, and I did find the stat upgrades pretty pricey. Now, aside from the upgrade shrine and the familiars, the hub area also contains this shrine where you can change the crown that your slime is wearing, but I really couldn't work out what each type of crown actually did, and I assume that they're just sort of cosmetic changes. The final point of interest in the hub area is where you get to select what type of run you're going to do, and the game has 3 different runs available for you to select from. The first of these is Challenge or Challenge, and this is a continuous map that contains no checkpoints and is slightly more difficult than the other 2. The second type of run is called Short Run, and this is another continuous map which appears to be the standard game mode. Finally, we have Old Path mode where the map is split into zones, and this says it's the old form of map which offers a longer run but is easier, and I can only assume it was the first version of the game's map system created by the developer. Once you've selected what type of run you're going to do, you can then head in to start a new game, but prior to this you better have spent all your remaining gold as it's actually lost when you start a new run. I'm not entirely sure I like this mechanic, as apart from the gold that you keep after dying which you get to spend on a few temporary upgrades for your next run, there doesn't appear to be much in the way of rewards or accumulative progression. Now, prior to beginning a new run, you get to select from 4 different packs of cards. You have a blue deck which appears to be the game's standard deck containing cards which mainly focus around defense and physical attacks, a fire deck focused around fire-based cards which deal damage whenever an enemy performs an action, an acid deck which is similar to the fire deck but instead damages enemies each turn, and finally there's the question mark deck which appears to be a combination of all 3 decks but also contains some more advanced cards. So getting into gameplay then, each run in Rise of Slime sees you placed at the start of a series of rooms. The types of the rooms are randomised, as are the contents and enemies, and your objective is simple: make your way from the leftmost room to the rightmost room, defeating enemies, upgrading your deck, collecting gold, and beating bosses. There's some good variety to the game's room types, and among these you'll find things like shrine rooms which allow you to select from one of 2 mutators which affect your character in different ways, rooms filled with traps which you must avoid taking damage from, shops where you can buy new cards or upgrade existing ones, and heart rooms where you're able to heal a portion of your lost health. The most common type of room you're going to encounter though are going to be the combat rooms, and the game's combat system is quite simple while still having a bit of depth to it. Now, as with most card-based combat systems, Rise of Slime's combat is turn-based and sees you drawing from your deck of cards, with each card costing a certain amount of mana to play. Cards come in both defensive and offensive forms, with defensive ones generally healing you, buffing your attack or creating shields to block enemy attacks, while offensive ones deal damage to enemies, siphon life from them, or add stacks of fire and acid onto enemies which damage them over time. I quite enjoyed the simplicity of the game's combat, and I think it'll be accessible to most players, but there are a few more advanced gameplay elements which involve more complex interactions with the fire and acid stacks, and it'll likely take a little longer for you to fully understand and master these mechanics. Now, overall I found gameplay in Rise of the Slime to be mostly enjoyable, however I couldn't really tell much difference between the three game modes. I wasn't able to get all the way through any of the modes, and the first couple of bosses all appeared to be very similar, but there was some good variety with the dungeon layouts. Each of the game's decks offered a different style of play, and I think Rise of Slime probably has a decent amount of replayability to it. Compared to games like Neoverse, Slay the Spire and Iris and the Giant, there's a little less depth to the game's mechanics, but if you're looking for a casual deck builder which isn't going to tax your brain too much, then Rise of the Slime is definitely worth checking out. And that's about it for this 30 minutes to buy review, so if you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game in the comment section below, and if you enjoy this type of content then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. For now though, I want to thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and game on.